So we're going to go ahead and get started. My name is Jennifer. I'm one of the financial aid reps here at the College of DuPage. Basically, the point of this session is not necessarily how to apply for financial aid, but hopefully you've already done those steps. So this is going to be, okay, you've gotten your award letter, now what? How do you pay for classes with that money? How do you buy your books with that money? When do you get the money for any other educational expenses, transportation, housing? So that's going to kind of be the format of this session. I always like to do a quick financial aid 101 for students just to kind of get you up to speed as to why you do some of the FAFSA information and the steps that you go through it. So what I like to start out with is basically go over financial aid. Financial aid is basically this umbrella, and underneath this umbrella is different categories of financial aid. So financial aid could be grant money. This could be money offered through the federal government, through the state government. It's money that's awarded to a student based on financial need. It's a form of free financial aid. Financial aid could be student loans. Loans is money that you're going to pay back. So we have a lot of students saying, well, I don't qualify for financial aid, but I want to take out a loan. A loan is still a form of financial aid. Financial aid could also be scholarships. This is another form of free financial aid out there. Scholarships is money that's set aside by a private donor, maybe an organization or a group, set up for students that meet a particular criteria. For example, if you're going into performing arts, there may be scholarships set aside specifically for students that are going into performing arts. Maybe you're going into the health field, the nursing here on campus. There may be scholarships set aside specifically for students that meet that scholarship criteria. The other form of financial aid is what's called work study or student employment. Work study is basically you work on campus as a student aid. Your funding for your paycheck doesn't come from the college budget, rather it comes from this federal work study fund. So it's just another form of financial aid out there that's available for you guys to apply for. There are some general requirements that I do want to touch on real briefly. Is you do have to be have a high school diploma. You must be a U.S. citizen or an eligible non-citizen. The one up here listed, be enrolled in an eligible degree program. For us to award financial aid, we have to see that you're attending COD, pursuing a degree or an eligible certificate. So if when you filed your admissions application, you reported that you were undecided, we can't award financial aid to you as undecided. If you're undecided, basically you're at COD pursuing your associate's degree. So you'll want to make sure that the records office has it listed that you're pursuing an associate's degree. An associate's degree, you're doing your general classes. Your English, your math, your speech, your science. You're not declaring anything, but you're just doing your core classes. All males between 18 and 24, you need to make sure that you've registered with Selective Service. The requirement that I kind of skipped over, which is a huge requirement that gets a lot of our students in trouble, is what's called maintain satisfactory academic progress. I refer to it as strings attached. The federal government may award you federal grant money or a student loan. When they award that to you, they want something in return. They want you to maintain a 2.0 cumulative GPA. If your GPA drops below a 2.0, you risk losing that financial aid money. So regardless of how eligible you are, if you don't have a 2.0 cumulative, you're going to risk losing that money. Additionally, they want you to complete at least 67% of your attempted credit hours. So they're not saying you have to complete 100% of your credit hours. They do give you leeway if you need to drop or fail a class, but they want to make sure that you're completing at least 67% of all the credit hours that you attempt on a cumulative basis. So as we go towards the end, I will touch more on it, but I just wanted to list it out that it is one of the eligibility requirements out there. FAFSA. That is the form that you need to fill out to start any sort of financial aid process. Your FAFSA is basically a form that we use to collect tax and asset information, to see what your financial need is, to see what category of financial aid you're going to qualify for. Whether we're going to award you financial aid through grants, whether we'll award you financial aid through student loans, or a combination of both. That FAFSA application you fill out every academic school year. So the one you did now is going to cover fall 2014, spring 2015. If you go full-time in the fall and spring and you use your full financial aid award, then there would be no additional financial aid money for summer. You're going to reapply for next fall and spring. So if you are in school for 4 years, you're going to do 4 different FAFSA applications for each academic school year. All right? Everything is going to start with that FAFSA application. How do we notify students? All right, hopefully you all know you have a COD email address, correct? All right, hopefully you're checking that COD email address because that's how we're notifying students. All right, I just had a student in the last session who didn't realize that we were notifying her there and updating everything in her My Access, so she's just turning in her documents now. All right, hopefully you guys are checking your email. We're also updating everything in your My Access. The email is simply going to be a notification, hey, we got your results, go to your My Access and your My Documents to see what's needed. Or hey, we finished your financial aid award letter, log into your My Access to view your award letter. Hopefully you've all created your My Access account and have logged into it at least once. Hopefully, never? Okay. What I want to do and what I've done in the other sessions is I want to go through your My Access and kind of point out the screens and some of the links that you guys can get your financial aid information from. The main one is something called My Documents. It's listed under Communication. This is going to house all of your financial aid documents. It's going to show the day we got your FAFSA. It's going to show the day we requested any additional documents. Maybe we needed your tax transcripts. Maybe we needed verification of household size. It's going to show the day we sent your award letter to you. It's going to show when you accepted your subsidized student loan. Everything is going to show up in your My Documents. So if you go home, log into your My Access, click on My Documents, and you see a list of items that we're requesting and it says not received, that's probably why you don't have an award letter yet. You didn't finish the financial aid process. So make sure you're keeping an eye on your My Documents. Underneath this financial aid, we have a link called Financial Aid Award Letter. That's where you're actually going to view your financial aid award letter for the academic year. We're not going to send out another award letter for spring semester. We send out one award letter for academic year. So when you get ready to register for spring, we're not going to send you another one. We're going to assume you're going to go back to your My Access, click on your financial aid award letter to see what your award was for the spring semester. There's a link called Accept or Reject My Financial Aid Awards. All right? Did you know that for your loans you have to actually accept the loans? That just because it's on your award letter doesn't mean you're actually going to get the money dispersed to you? You need to make sure you're clicking on this link that says Accept or Reject My Financial Aid Awards. It'll tell you the requirements and what you need to do for the financial aid programs. There's a link here called Check Standards of Academic Progress Status. This is where you can see if you're in good standing with financial aid. Maybe you dropped a class and you're worried that's going to cost you to lose your financial aid. At the end of every semester, we'll run our program. Click on Check Standards of Academic Progress. You'll see if you're in good standing or if you're on probation with financial aid. All right, just a way for you to keep tabs on everything. There's a link called Pell Grant Calculator. Your Pell Grant on your award letter is based on the assumption you'll be enrolled full-time. If you need to enroll less than full-time because either work commitments, family commitments, outside commitments, click on Pell Grant Calculator, type in the number of hours you're going to register for, and it'll tell you what your Pell Grant award will be. All right? Unfortunately, when you call our office, we can't give dollar amounts over the phone. So if you say, well, I'm going to be registered in 9 credit hours, how much will my Pell Grant be? We'll direct you back to your My Access. There's a link here called Available Amount for Book Purchases. Common question we're getting right now is how much money do I have for books? You can pull it up in your My Access. That dollar amount will populate if you have an award letter and you've completed a bookstore authorization form. The bookstore authorization form is something you fill out allowing us to send money to the bookstore from your financial aid. So if you pull up your My Documents and it says bookstore authorization form not received, this is going to show 0. You need to make sure you have that bookstore authorization form on file.
Where do you get that?
You can download it directly from our website or stop in our office. There is this link called Bookstore Dates. If you didn't know when you could go down to the bookstore, click on the Bookstore Date link. It'll tell you the window that you can go down to the bookstore and purchase your books, and it'll let you know other steps that you need to do. It'll also mention the bookstore authorization form and make sure that you have an award letter out there. Right? In your My Access, under Student Payment Information, there is a link called Enroll in Active Deferred Payment Plan. That's where you're going to go each semester to sign up on either the active payment plan, or if you have your financial aid in place, you'll sign up on the deferred payment plan. But every semester you're going to need to do that. So we wanted to make sure that we were going through and showing you guys the different links in your My Access to show you that there's a lot of information that you can get at the tip of your fingers through your My Access account. So if you have not logged into it or you've logged into your My Access once, get a little bit familiar with your My Access, especially with the financial aid section, primarily with the My Documents, to make sure that there's nothing outstanding that we still need from you. Verification. What I want to briefly talk about verification is when you do the FAFSA, that's simply step 1 in the financial aid process. You file the FAFSA. Step 2 is you may have to go through verification. Step 3 is getting your award letter. Verification is something the federal processor will randomly select students for us to verify certain items on the FAFSA application. So in your My Documents, you may see a request for a verification worksheet, or you may see a request for a tax transcript. It's because your results indicated that we need to verify one of these items. So every year you submit your FAFSA will determine whether or not you're going to be selected for verification. So it may be all 4 years you're in school. Every time you do a FAFSA, you're selected for verification. For some, it may you be selected the first 2 years and then not selected the last 2 years. It may be brothers and sisters where the brother is selected for verification and the sister is not. It all depends on what your FAFSA information is. So it's just to make sure everything is accurate and complete. So you've done your FAFSA, you've done the verification, and now you've gotten your award letter. One form of financial aid that may show up on your award letter is what's called a federal Pell Grant. The maximum you can get in a federal Pell Grant, whether you're at COD or any other university, is $5,730. So that covers 2 semesters of full-time enrollment. So if between fall and spring you're full-time in the fall, full-time in the spring, you're going to use that full $5,730, which means there's nothing additional for summer. You could qualify for as little as $602 for an academic year. I do want to note that not all students will qualify for the Pell Grant. It is based on your eligibility as determined on your FAFSA application. But as far as the Pell Grant range, that's where it's going to fall between. So we'll cover tuition first. If there's money left over, we'll go ahead and cover books. And if there's still money left over after that, then we would have a check available to you middle of the semester for that leftover money, whether it's $100, $200, whatever's remaining after your tuition and books. I do want to point out down here at the bottom that Department of Education has limited the number of years you can receive a federal Pell Grant. So basically you get 6 years of full-time enrollment. So if you are in school for 6 years, going full-time each year, receiving a Pell Grant each of those 6 years, if you're still not receiving that degree by the 7th year, that 7th year you no longer get a Pell Grant. Okay? You've used up your entire lifetime eligibility. So that's why it's extra important that when you're looking at classes, you're picking out the right classes you need. You're not dropping a lot of classes, causing you to extend the time in classes. So if you do have questions, please meet with an academic advisor, kind of get a term-by-term plan going so that you're on some sort of game plan to finish your degree in a timely manner. So your Pell Grant on your award letter, like I mentioned, is based on full-time. So if your full-time award was $2,865, whether you're enrolled in 12 credit hours or 15 credit hours, the minute you're enrolled in 12 credit hours, you get that full $2,865. If you can only enroll 3/4 time, anywhere between 9 and 11 credit hours, you would get about 75% of that award, which would be $2,149. Half time, 50%, and so on. So this is what that Pell Grant calculator is going to calculate for you. So you don't actually have to go through the math and calculate. Just type in, your credit hours and it'll let you know. You must be academically engaged in your classes. All right? No attendance, no financial aid. You actually have to attend and be academically engaged in those classes. We will allow you to repeat your class and have your federal Pell Grant still cover that class. So if you take speech in the fall semester and you get a D and you want to repeat it in the spring to get a better grade, we will count that next semester for spring when determining your eligibility. All right? You must be registered for your classes within the refund period date of the class. So ideally, we want you to register before classes begin. That's the cleanest way. Your financial aid will account for all of those credit hours. If you're registering for a class after it has started and you're getting a permit from the instructor, make sure you're registering for that class before the refund period date is up. For example, if registration states for, speech, the last day to get a 50% refund is September 1st, and you put that registration through September 2nd, The system is not going to count that class in determining how many credit hours you're enrolled in. All right? It freezes at what's called the census date, and that's the 50% refund. So if you are registering for a class late, make sure you're registering still within the time frame. When you file for FAFSA, you again are automatically applying for the Illinois MAP grant. The deadline this year to apply was February 27th. So anybody who filed their FAFSA after February 27th did not qualify for an Illinois MAP grant. That's why we are strongly encouraging students to file their FAFSA between January 1st and March 1st, specifically for this Illinois MAP grant. So, you file your FAFSA January 5th. You have not done your taxes. When you do your FAFSA, you're going to say, I will file my taxes. You're going to estimate your tax dollars. If you file your taxes in April and you go back into your FAFSA and make a correction in May, the state of Illinois is going to look at the first day that you submitted your application to see what your eligibility is. So the advantage to doing it in January and February is you're simply saving your place in line. So regardless of whenever you make a correction thereafter, it goes back to that first submission date. All right, so again, it's for the Illinois MAP grant, and again, not all students will qualify. It is based on your financial need as demonstrated by your FAFSA. On your award letter will probably be set to a P for pending. So if you see pending on your Illinois MAP grant, it's not that you didn't do something. We will go ahead and change it to accepted once we disperse the money to your tuition account. So we are in the process of dispersing that money to the accounts at this point. So you will see it change to accepted. Just know if it's P as a pending, there's not something that you need to do additionally at that point. All right? Your Illinois MAP grant is going to be based on your enrollment of 15 credit hours. If you enroll in less, then your Illinois MAP grant will reduce. So if you're in 14, you'll get a little less, 13 a little less, and so on. So the Pell Grant, the MAP grant is all free money that you're not going to pay back, of course, unless you don't attend your classes. On your award letter, you might see something called a subsidized loan. The loans through the FAFSA are guaranteed, so there's no credit check, there's no cosigner. The interest rate until June 30th, 2015 is going to be 4.6%. July 1, it's going to readjust. All right? It'll never go higher than 8.25%. All right? So I don't know what July 1st is going to bring. You begin making payments on that loan 6 months after you graduate, or you drop below half time. So the magic number is 6. If you are not enrolled in at least 6 credit hours for 6 months, you're going to begin making payments on that loan. Whether you've graduated school, whether you have the dream job that you want, whether you're employed 6 months after, you're going to need to make some sort of payment on that loan. Subsidized means the interest on that loan while you're a student, the government is paying that interest for you. So that's why if you are going to accept a loan, you always want to maximize your subsidized, because the interest is not that grows, the government will be covering for you, okay, as long as you're a student. It just keeps that loan balance down at the very end. You may see something called an unsubsidized loan on your award letter. Same rules, no credit check, no cosigner, 4.6% interest. The only difference is the interest on that loan you're responsible for, plus the loan balance itself. So on your award letter, we're literally going to spell out Pell Grant this amount, MAP Grant this amount, subsidized loan, unsubsidized loan. It's up to you guys to then make a determination what you want to accept. I've come across, while I've been in the financial aid office, a lot of students that feel that whatever we put on their award letter, they have to accept. You don't have to, all right? The award letter is simply money that we're offering to you. So as a freshman, whether you're at COD or another university, the maximum you can get is $5,500. If on your award letter you have a Pell Grant and you have a MAP grant and it's enough to cover your tuition and books, and that's all you need covered, reject out the student loan. There's really no reason for you to take out a loan if all your expenses are already covered. If you get $5,500 and you are able to pay for some of the money and you only need, say, another $2,000, reduce it down to $2,000. Just because you decline it this year or reduce it this year doesn't mean we're not going to offer it to you again next year. Next year we'll offer you a new set of loan money. What I've noticed while I've been doing the orientation sessions is sometimes students will have already accepted their loans, not realizing, one, that they could reduce it or that they could reject it. We have these green loan change forms. If you're in that category, now realizing, okay, now I understand what the difference is, now I know I have an option, feel free to pick up one of these green loan change forms and indicate if you want to cancel your loan or reduce it, or maybe you just want to cancel your unsubsidized loan. You can make any adjustments on here. Right? I just want to make sure that students are not over borrowing. There's a huge push through Department of Education, through the financial aid community, to make sure students are not over borrowing and borrowing more that you need. All right? We don't want you graduating college, starting your career with this huge loan debt on your back. If you don't need the loan money, do not take out the loan money. All right? It's just the best way that's going to happen for you. What I like to show to students is sometimes this little calculator to show, okay, if I took out $23,000 in a loan, and in the span of 10 years, with an interest rate of 6.8%, which is what the interest rate was a couple years ago fixed, in 10 years, that $23,000 loan is going to have almost $9,000 worth of interest on it. All right? I'm sure everybody in here could think of something that they could spend that $9,000 of interest on if they did not take out that loan. All right? So the less loan you take, one, the less money you pay back. If you pay the interest while you're going through school, you're going to reduce your loan balance at the end because there's less interest having to grow on it. In this case, your minimum payment 6 months out of college is going to be $264, which means to handle that payment plus your other expenses, all right, you guys are going to still have your cars. You're going to need somewhere to live. You're still going to eat. You're going to need clothes, etc. Minimum salary of almost $40,000 right out of college to handle that monthly payment plus all your other expenses. All right? My dad always tells me it's easier to spend everybody else's money. All right? If we give you a loan, please don't feel you have to accept everything or any of it. All right? If you can graduate school with grants and scholarships, that's the way you want to go. All right? We want you guys starting not behind the 8 ball. We want to make sure that when you're done, at least with COD, that you don't have this debt on your back as well. So if you have a loan on your award letter, how do you accept it? If you have a subsidized loan, you're going to accept that through your My Access. If you want to reduce your loan award, you're going to fill out the loan change form. All right? Because on My Access, you have the option to either accept or reject. You don't have the option to adjust it through My Access. You're going to complete entrance loan counseling. You're going to complete a master promissory note. If you miss any one of those 3 steps, the money is not going to disperse to you. You need to do loan counseling, promissory note, and accept your subsidized loan through your My Access account. If you have an unsubsidized loan on your account, on your award letter, you do need to attend a Smart Borrowing Loan session. Through that session is how you're going to accept that student loan. You still need to do loan counseling and a master promissory note. It's just we're trying to be a little bit more proactive when students accept that unsubsidized loan because of the interest, that they're understanding what that unsubsidized loan is. We have this yellow sheet up here of all of our loan websites. There's the very last one where you can view your financial aid history. If you want to keep track of how much Pell Grant money you got, federal Stafford loans you've borrowed, keep this website handy so that one, you know how much money you've borrowed. I can't tell you how many students have no idea how much they've borrowed in student loans. All right? That's a bad sign. You want to know what debt you have. A lot of students don't know who their loan servicer is. You want to know who's holding your loan, so if there's problems, you know who to contact. So feel free after the session to pick up those. Your loan money is going to disperse in 2 equal payments. So if you have a $2,000 loan for fall, if you're in 16-week classes, your loan money is going to post to your account about 30 days into the semester. So 30 days into the semester, we're going to post $1,000 of your loan. We're going to pick up the tuition charges. If there's still tuition you owe, about 30 days after that, we're going to post the other $1,000 to pay off your tuition charges. If you ever want to know when loans are going to be dispersed, on our website we have a link called Financial Aid Dates. If you click on Financial Aid Dates, it will show you when are the bookstore dates, when are the loans going to be dispersed. So you can always access that again through our website under Financial Aid Dates. There is an option for parents to take out a loan. It's just something out there that if parents are in that situation that they can borrow, that's something out there for them. All right. Federal work study, if you're looking to work on campus, there is a federal work study program available. If you're eligible for it, we will put it on your award letter. If it doesn't show up on your award letter and you're interested, send us an email. We'll look at your eligibility to see if we can go ahead and manually award you a federal work study based on your financial need. Scholarships, our deadline for fall was April 1st. Sometime around October, we'll open up the scholarships for the spring semester. Deadline for spring is going to be November 1st. So I'd highly recommend you guys looking into scholarships as well. Part, what I call standards of academic progress. If there's nothing else you guys remember from this session today, please remember a 2.0 cumulative GPA, complete 67% of your attempted credit hours to stay in good standing. If you don't meet those requirements, what happens is you're going to need to file what's called a financial aid appeal through our office. While you're on that financial aid appeal waiting for the committee to make their decision, we can't release any money to you. So if you need money for books and you're doing an appeal, I can't release that money to you for books because we're waiting to see whether or not you'll get your eligibility back at College of DuPage. Exceeding 150% of your program hours, we just want to make sure that you're finishing your program in a timely manner. So if you are pursuing an associate's degree, it takes about 64 credits. We'll allow you to attempt 150% before we stop your aid. So 64 credits times 1.5 gives you 96 hours. If you're still attending COD after 96 hours, we're going to stop your financial aid. You're going to have to file an appeal to explain why you're still continuing to take classes at COD when you have almost enough hours to finish a bachelor's degree. What I want to note about classes and financial aid is that we will pay for some below 1,000 level classes. So if you guys took the math and English placement tests and you tested into, say, Math 0481 or English 0491, your federal Pell Grant and federal Stafford loans would still cover those below 1,000 level classes. All right, if you take woodworking, 040, it's not going to be covered through financial aid. But the reading, the writing, the math, those are covered. Deferred payment plan. When you register for classes, make sure you've either signed up on the deferred payment plan or the active. If you only paid $5, you signed up on the deferred payment plan. The deferred payment plan requires you to put down a $5 down payment to hold you in your classes. The remainder of your tuition is then due in October to give time for your financial aid funds to catch up with you. All right? To trigger the deferred option, you need to have at least your award letter on file or showing that you have enough financial eligibility to cover your tuition charges. Okay? If you signed up on the active plan and made payments, once your financial aid is approved and we award it to you, we would then look at refunding you based on your eligibility. All right, how do you purchase books? You need to make sure that you have money in excess of your tuition. So in example 1, if your tuition is $1,752 and your Pell Grant is $2,800, that means you have about $1,000 that we can send down to the bookstore for you to purchase your required books and supplies. For us to send that money down, you need to make sure that you've completed that bookstore authorization form. So again, log into your My Documents, make sure it says Received next to that bookstore authorization date. If you only charge $500 on books, that means you have $600 that you didn't use. Mid-semester, we'll go ahead and release that $600 check to you in the form of a check, or if you signed up on the Accelepay debit card, we'll put it on the Accelepay debit card for you. In example 2, if your tuition is $1,752 but you only have $600 in a Pell Grant, there is no money that I can give you for books. All right, you don't have enough money to cover tuition and book charges. So in that case, you may then have to look at student loans to maybe cover the difference. If you have a student loan, again, you must have accepted your federal Stafford loan. You must have completed a master promissory note, done your loan counseling, be enrolled in 6 hours, and again, the bookstore authorization form needs to be completed as well. So when can you purchase your books? Between August 18th and September 25th. You need to make sure you know your student ID number, not your social security number, your ID number. You need to make sure you have a driver's license or a valid state ID, and you need to bring a copy of your schedule to the bookstore. You're going to go to any cash register in the bookstore. They'll charge your required books and supplies against your grant or student loan down there. But again, check your My Documents, make sure that you have that bookstore authorization form completed and received in your My Documents. Whatever is not used to cover tuition and books, say you pay for books on your own online because they're cheaper, it's convenient, it's something that you wanted to do. Whatever is not used on tuition and books, we're going to refund you mid-semester. You can then use that refund money to help reimburse the books that you paid out of pocket. So again, you'll either get a check that you'll pick up in the cashier's office, or you'll get money placed on the AccelePay debit card. Thank you so much for attending New Student Orientation. We look forward to seeing you guys in campus in the fall.